Welcome back to the Strong After 50 podcast, episode 27. I'm on my own today. We had Chris in the house last weekend. I might get the other Chris on soon up in Queensland, Australia. We've just been so busy, both of us, and been hard to get the timing right. Quick shout out this week to all the new subscribers. Thank you so much. We are growing so fast. I think we're in the top 150 Substack newsletters in the health and fitness space, which is unbelievable. Can't believe just how quickly this is growing and how well it's going. Getting lots of feedback now and lots of people sort of touching base with me. I will do a bit of a Q&A at some point. So if you have any questions, just shoot them in via Substack, and particularly if I've got Chris on here, we'll do a big Q&A one week if you have any questions. You know, sometimes it's hard to come up with topics each week on my own, and I don't realise what people don't know. You know, when you've been doing for something so long, you get so used to, that's too simple, I don't want to talk about that. And then I'll be out somewhere and someone asks me the most simple question. I'm like, really? People actually want to know that? So then I get a lot of ideas from actually friends when I'm speaking to friends and family and just people that I work with about stuff that they're struggling with. I don't do any one-on-one coaching at the moment, but I've mentioned before I will do in the future. I may even look to team up with a couple of people that will help me out with some one-on-one coaching. That's all about having the right person for me, because I only want to work with people I really respect and have the same sort of mindset that I do. But just given my newsletter following now is quite big, I'm sure there's some people out there would like to participate in one-on-one coaching. In the interim, I know I keep promising, but I've just been so busy with my real job. I will build out some programs. I have a couple of small programs or quick programs over at strongafter50.com website that you can actually go on. There's a few free programs there. I think there's a 1 week strength program, just a very simple basic strength program that you can have a bit of a look at if you're getting back into strength training. There is a return to running program. That's a paid program. Well received, that one. A few people actually reached out to me and purchased that one online. It's exactly what I use myself. I've been rehabbing my Achilles for a couple of months, and anyone that has an Achilles problem will know that these things take an extraordinary amount of time, particularly as you get older. However, I will say that I'm back to running 5 or 6 Ks twice a week and upping the speed, so that's been super good. I'm going to get back into some interval running, but I'm going to talk about that today as well. There's a free back reset program. That's a great little program. Many years ago, I used to date a physical therapist. Funny story, I actually ran into her today down at the beach, and she taught me a lot about, I was so strong, muscle driven and focused as a track runner. I was so dynamic and could generate so much power so quickly, but all my small stabilizing muscles really couldn't hang on. And I spent about 12 or 16 weeks going through these classes with also one of the athletes that I coached. And it taught me a lot about core control and about how weak I really was, even though I could generate so much power. So a lot of the stuff in the back reset program I learned in that 16 weeks, and we've been with this particular person for a few years. So it was very educational and very simple, simple things like putting your feet up on the wall, some deep breathing into your abdominal, learning how to actually control your pelvic floor, even as a male. There's a trick to that. I won't talk about it online. Well, along the lines when the doctor asks you to cough though. There's a marching exercise. You lay on your back, you bend your knees, put your feet flat on the floor, and you're trying to, the whole key concept when your lower back gets jammed is trying to keep your core stable and your hips stable, and then being able to lift 1 foot up off the ground at a time whilst your hips are remaining stable. Anyway, it's a good little program if you ever struggle with lower back stiffness, or as I do quite a lot, if I overdo it, I get a very stiff SI joint, and I've got a few friends get the same, so it's a great little program there as well. I think the first program I have in the background, I've already completed that. It's a 4 week or 6 week eating plan. You know that I love the Mediterranean diet. I'm not saying it's the best diet or eating plan that you can actually participate in, but I do. For me personally, it's just a fantastic way to eat. If I could live anywhere in the world, and it would be in Europe, they eat clean, they still enjoy their food. It's all in moderation. What you will notice when you go to Europe, they virtually don't have any soda. You never see soda out on the table. Well, I didn't anyway. It's always just water. They will have a glass of wine, but it's just really clean eating. I did put some stuff out the other day, a little note, which was got lots of feedback as well about the ultra-processed foods and just how high the consumption is today. It's something like 60% in Western countries, which is getting sort of out of control, and it's something that I don't know how we shift it, but it's definitely become a massive issue globally. But you need to start somewhere. So anyone that's reaching for sodas and these other ultra-processed foods, you need to just start with those daily habits and eliminate just one thing and just slowly pull that out of your diet. And I will tell you one thing, and I know this is not the case for everybody because everyone's system is different, and a lot of people do understand, have complete cravings around this stuff. But I love sweet things. If I'm going to have something sweet, I have dark chocolate. I do like the occasional ice cream. If I'm out for dinner with friends, it's a bit of a treat. If I'm out once every 2 or 3 months, I would have beautiful Italian ice cream in a cone. One of those things I love to do. But the moment you actually start having less of those things, it's interesting how your body just doesn't crave them anymore. And it's hard for everyone to get off them initially, but once you just slowly eliminate them, you'll be surprised you just don't have that craving for them. And I think it's like alcohol. I used to always have a couple of glasses of wine most nights with dinner, and I've actually stopped doing that. I do have an alcohol-free beer sitting beside me at the moment. It is 4 o'clock in the afternoon in Australia on a nice sunny day, but I don't have that craving for that sort of wine at dinner anymore. And it was just that association. I would sit down for dinner every night and I'd have that glass of wine, and I just associated that wine with eating, and I just don't crave that anymore. Once I stopped it and weaned myself off it, cut it down to one glass, cut it down to only the weekends, and now I'll have the occasional glass of wine if I go out for dinner, and I always limit myself to 2 drinks only. So yeah, it's just, like all these habits, you've just got to sort of chip away and just do one thing at a time. Don't try and make too many changes all at once. So a couple of things that I wanted to chat about. There's an article going around, and I'll be honest, I haven't read the science behind it, but grip strength. Now, 100% agree that your grip strength changes as you age. And I notice my own grip strength when I'm trying to open particular things now. It just gets harder and harder, right? We just don't have that same grip we used to anymore. And I noticed the other day that I've also lost that thickness in my forearms, because I don't use my hands for work that much anymore. And even though I still lift heavy, but not as heavy as I used to. But they talk about your grip strength is a predictor of your mortality. Without reading the science, without going into it, I don't know how they come up with that. I don't know how you can actually measure enough people to say, okay, these particular people's grip strength failed, and hence they're actually going to die a little bit earlier. Happy to be called out on this, by the way, because I haven't read the science, but it just does kind of concern me a little bit that we do associate some of these crazy things. However, I do believe in increasing your grip strength, or at least trying to prove it. And I think 2 things you can do to improve your grip strength is just hanging off a bar, dead hangs they're called. There is a bit of a timing thing there. They do say you should be able to hang for 1 minute. One of my mates called me the other day and said, how long can I hang for? My immediate answer was, I'm sure I can hang for 1 minute. I did test myself. I can hang for a minute. And I said to him, I'm sure I can probably get to 2 minutes if there was money involved. But you will notice that your forearms just start to really blow out and actually get hit really hard very, very quickly. But the other thing to improve your grip strength, and I also just put a quick note out today about it, farmers carries. Great exercise. I did them some years ago, and I wish I had have actually done more of them when I was sprinting, because for that posterior chain and that postural strength, just a fantastic exercise, just how strong they actually make you. And it doesn't put that compression directly on your spine. And I am definitely moving away from squatting at the moment. I've been squatting for a very, very long time, and my ego gets in the way all the time, but I'm trying to squat less and less for that exact reason, just so I'm not compressing my spine so much, because I tend to just want to squat heavy. So I'm doing all sorts of different leg exercises again at the moment. I still do some sort of squats. I do front squats, but I don't need anywhere near the weight to do them. So yeah, I would highly recommend farmers carry. If you haven't done them before, 2 kettlebells or any sort of dumbbells, and you just basically go for a walk. Could be 50 meters, put them down, 50 meters, come back. You can actually carry quite heavy dumbbells, by the way. I wouldn't start off too heavy if you've never done them before. And then if they start to get a little bit easy and you're doing these at home, try them up the driveway. They get quite challenging when you start walking uphill with them. You can do them on a treadmill. I have seen people do them on the treadmill. Don't know if I would recommend it in the gym, just in case you go flying off the back, unless the gym is okay with that, but it is something you can definitely do. Interval training. I love intervals. I'm not saying they're the best exercise, but they definitely are one of those exercises that boost my VO2 max. There's a few different ways to actually increase your VO2 max, but for me, the intervals are what I use because I just enjoy them. I actually prefer to do intervals over just a long, slow run. I do like going out for my runs, but definitely when I'm out and I've got the right headspace in and I'm fully amped up and charged. I love doing interval runs. Now, for people that actually don't run, you can do intervals on all sorts of apparatus, right? You can actually do them on a bike, a rowing machine, ski erg. You could probably do them walking on a treadmill, make the uphill part, the interval section. And normally, I do all sorts of intervals. I've been doing them on an air bike, but going extremely hard. And I just do 15 seconds on, 45 seconds off. I try and do 9 or 10 of them, or three sets of 3. But I also do 3 minutes on, 3 minutes off. You can actually mix them up. Yes, there's some formulas around them. I just don't get sort of too bogged down with this sort of stuff. And again, if you are not a fave with running, or your body doesn't love running, try them on the air bike. The air bike's absolute killer, and in all honesty, it's one of my favourite apparatus to do them on. But you can also do them on the ski erg and the rower. I don't have a ski erg and a rower and an air bike in the gym in our building, but I do have a rower which I occasionally knock out some intervals on the rowing machine, which I would love to get an air bike so I could actually just continue to do a few more on the air bike. So yeah, if you want to improve your VO2 max, or you've been training for a while and you've got your sort of, your base cardio fitness up, I would definitely give interval training a bit of a go. Food, one thing I just wanted to quickly chat about with eating. I think food prep is underrated. It's Monday here in Australia, and we had a public holiday today for Anzac Day, and I will spend the rest of the afternoon prepping my food for the week. I'll cook some lentils, I'll cook some rice, and I may cook some chicken, and I'll just make up a few containers for the first couple of days' lunches at least. Couple of things. One, I prefer to have my own fresh food cooked every day because I know what I'm actually eating. And two, not to mention just the expense of actually buying lunch every day is out of control when all of a sudden you look at your expenses for the month and you can see just what you've spent on some crappy lunches. So I'd much prefer to making my own lunch. So yeah, just one of the things I like to do Sunday afternoons, as I said, Monday here today, is just do a bit of food prep for the week. Just get a few containers. I'll probably only prep today for 2, maybe 3. I have started to buy rice pouches. I always make sure they don't have any other ingredients in them. They're just rice. Some of them are flavoured rice, which is fine. One thing I'm not a huge fan, if I do have the time to actually make up a big batch of rice for the week, I'll do that as well, is having them in the plastic pouches. Then you put them in the microwave. I don't think that's super healthy, but sometimes you just can't do everything perfect, right? But yeah, the little one-person rice pouches, which I think are really beneficial. Running late, what I've decided to do, or what I'm doing a bit more at the moment, is taking a tin of tuna to work and just a container of salad, or I take a rice pouch and a tin of tuna and just cut a bit of salad up into it and just heat the rice up in the microwave at work, and then just add the tuna and mix it up, and then you've got a half reasonable meal. If you threw some corn and some peas in there, you've actually got a decent meal. But I also have been cooking up lentils at the start of the week, and then adding just, rice or some other vegetables to the lentils, which are super high in protein as well. And it just also prevents me consuming so much meat or chicken all the time. I'm just trying to find some other high protein foods and give a bit of a change some days. So yeah, just something I'd highly recommend is just doing a bit of food prep at the end of the week. It just helps keeping your eating on track for the week, and you're not sort of, trying to figure out first thing in the morning what you're actually going to have for lunch that day. And that's also why I wrote about this the other day, that I tend to stick to the same foods. I have the same breakfast every day, and that consists of oats, yogurt, berries, banana, some walnuts, and some protein powder. And that's what I live on. It's just my go-to breakfast every single day. And it's funny, every now and then I think, I might have eggs today, and then I actually don't feel like them, always just go back to that same dish. Wanted to also just touch on, I've been helping a close friend just get his fitness back and lose a bit of weight. He's down to the lightest he's been, he said to me, in about 20 years. I think he's lost about 6 or 7 kilograms, so about 14 to 15 pounds. He wasn't like big overweight because he's a bigger guy. He'd actually just put on weight everywhere. And he's gone to the gym exact same 3 times per week. The only thing he's changed, he's not eating after 8 o'clock at night. So he's actually eating at least 2 hours before he goes to bed. He still has a glass of wine or 2, I believe, most nights. I'm not too sure how much alcohol he's cut out, but obviously they're empty calories that you just don't need if you're trying to actually drop a few kilos. He's not going back for seconds, which he said he realised his portions were just too big, so he's setting a particular portion for dinner, and that's what he's stopping at. And his cut-off time is 8 o'clock at night, and he's going for a 10-minute walk. He said it's not religiously, but he's doing it at least 3 nights a week. I'm trying to encourage him to do one after lunch as well. He does work from home, But simple change, right? He hasn't changed his gym. He still goes just the same 3 days a week. He's doing a walk after dinner, and he's not eating after 8 o'clock at night to give his body time to digest that food and reset. And he's dropped 6 or 7 kilograms. So it's not rocket science, this stuff. And I know it's harder for some people than others, but you just have to make some small changes. And if anybody was to ask me today what I would recommend to actually, get your health and fitness under control, and everyone knows that I like to train and train pretty hard, but I would just highly recommend you want to be doing minimum 2 strength sessions per week, probably 3 more like it. And I'd say 3 because some weeks it's only going to be 2. So I'd be setting myself 3 each week. I would be doing deliberate walk days at least 2 to 3 other days per week. And then every day during the week, I would be actually trying to increase my step count just naturally. And if that means that you normally take the bus or take the train to work, can you walk to an additional station? As an example, if you work in Sydney here, there's multiple train stops in the city. Instead of getting the train that's closer to your office, can you actually walk to the next train stop to get that extra 1,000 or 2,000 steps in? Do you need to take the elevator at work if you're up not on the 30th floor, if you're up on the 5th or 6th floor, can you just walk up the stairs? Are you going up the escalator? Can you take the stairs instead of the escalator? Just getting those additional steps in. Go for a walk at lunch. Don't just sit and have your lunch and then actually, not do anything else. Have your lunch and go for a 10 or 15 minute walk after your lunch. But I would just highly recommend you 2 to 3 gym sessions per week. And they're all body workouts. They're nothing fancy. 2 deliberate walk days per week, including some stairs and just going for a 45-minute walk. And then on the other days, just trying to increase your steps where you can. And you'll be surprised at how quickly you start to feel quite good. But it has to be built into your lifestyle. This is not just a quick fix. I'm going to do this for 10 weeks and then I'm going to stop. You've got to make this part of your life now. And when it comes to the gym stuff, if you're not a gym-based person, if you've got yourself a bench and a few dumbbells at home, you can actually do a lot of exercise at home just with some dumbbells and a bench, particularly for most people. So yeah, pretty simple stuff. But again, just a quick shout out to everyone that's actually subscribed. If you want to jump on to the newsletter, or if you know somebody that could actually benefit from listening to me and some of our information we're putting out, I really want to grow this into a really big platform and help as many people globally as I can. It's one way these days you can touch a lot of people at once. We're the fastest growing demographic in the world is over 50. The number 1 gym goers in the world, I believe, are over 60-year-olds now, but there's not a lot of good information out there for us and a lot of people. It's all these young influencers online, right? But that's all I've got for this week. I hope you have a great week ahead, and bye for now.